Holy smack. This is
Holy
crazy.
Mac.
Ah, let's wave in case people actually watch.
Hello
Hi. So, first off, we wanna welcome you back. We wanna
to
welcome us
two.
back,
Oh, I thought we were
Rambling.
gonna do it.
Yeah,
Sisters. Oh,
I was talking us into it. I was
I'm
gonna say
sorry. I'm so excited.
it's okay. Well, we'll start. I'm your host, Ashley.
And I am Makayla, and these are our faces.
She's the second host, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I am
So,
also a host. I forgot how to podcast, you guys.
in case you're Jared Leto and you just crawled out of, like a 2-week, a year long, who knows how long he was doing meditation, um, you're aware that the world is suffering a pandemic and no one is allowed within 6 feet of each other.
Which
And so this is
includes
us,
us.
us, which is physically impossible, actually. I don't know if any of you know us, but it's not often that we're not within a yelling distance from each other. So this
I
has
can
been
actually feel like my mana fading
I
as we get
know.
farther apart.
I know, and thank God for technology, obviously, because this is happening right now. This is our way of evolving with both the current
And
times and what I
adapting.
assume will be future times, right? We always knew that there was gonna be a point where we had to figure out how to do this virtually, and I think if anything, kinda like we discussed, this is giving us extra content to give our
Heck yeah.
Patreon members, right? Like, you can choose to listen to us now for our edited stuff because this will be edited when it gets
Oh,
to regular audio.
100%.
Or if you pay the extra money, you get to see us in this form and all its
Oh.
uneditedness. Well, except for minus the bathroom breaks because I'm not gonna make you sit here while Makayla takes a
Listen,
20-minute pee because it will
hey,
happen.
it
Oh,
doesn't take me
should
20 minutes.
we
I'm in
mention
my own apartment. My bathroom's
that?
across the hallway.
So, we're also gonna start something new because we've
Oh,
been quarantined and it's so beautiful outside, and if you're in Minnesota or I feel like anyone right now, especially because cabin fever, like, all you wanna do is be at a patio with a beer, and so for us
especially as it gets warmer, which it is right now for
yes,
Minnesota,
oh
finally.
god. So for us in our area, all the local breweries have started offering delivery, and, like, let me tell you, we have jumped on that 100%. If you can't do delivery, they'll do, like, a pickup for you. So both of us mine's actually already almost empty. That's how
Oh,
long
wow.
to get, started. I told Michaela the other day, we had our first, like, virtual happy hour with friends, and for the first time in, like, years, I drank 2 whole beers, and it, like, reignited my ability to drink more than half a beer, so quarantine's, like, bringing out
She's
an old version of Ashley.
she's not wrong. I've gotten like 3 text messages in the last few days that's like, "I am on beer number 2." And I'm like, "Whoa, that's bananagrams." And I do wanna do this for those who might be tuning in years down the road because we're gonna be around.
Yeah.
Um, when we say quarantine, currently, the world's undergoing a
Yeah.
pandemic for a virus called COVID-19.
Yep.
Um, other than, like, flu-like symptoms, the deal with the virus is that currently in our state not in our state, but in the state it's in, it's mutating really quickly. So that's why we're all practicing social distancing. We're trying to make sure that we help not only flatten the curve out for this, but we become part of the solution for what's going
Right.
on. Like you guys have heard Ashley and I talk about with our plagues and our tetanus and diseases.
History shows what's happened if you
In
don't and I'm
exactly.
actually gonna go it's perfect because the topic I chose for this is actually, I think, gonna blow your mind on how much this is gonna hit home in what I'm talking in so many different forms.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but
Back to
I
the
oh, the beer.
the
Okay,
beer
so
before we go too far. So
we're gonna
mine,
try
unfortunately, I just because you said it, you were talking about delivery and things. Sorry, bear with
oh,
us as we
no,
figure
we
out
will
how to not.
I sent Babe, delivery Babe to
Yeah, and
sign up.
I
Oh,
sent my babe, who is a
oh,
new
we have to
addition.
we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah,
That's in
but
our
I just
update.
got mine's from the liquor store, but it's a local beer. So you
Oh,
wanna talk about yours first? Mine's called Starry Eyed. It's a cream ale.
oh, that I love cream ales. Where's it brewed
Yeah.
out of?
Let's see. It says Starry Eyed Brewing Co. Oh, he told me. I think Foley. That's what he said.
What?
Yeah, so just like a local town, right
I didn't know
close by.
there's a brewery in Foley. Okay, well, if you're from the area, St. Cloud, Minnesota,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry, Little
know.
Falls, Little Falls.
Oh, well,
It is
that's not
yep,
even close to
my
Foley.
apologies. Yep, Little Falls.
That's okay. Um, okay, so I'm drinking Bad Habit Brewery, and honestly, it's
That sounds
such
okay.
my favorite. Like, I'm gonna have that you can guarantee that this whole week, well, it won't be a week for you guys, but it's gonna be a week for us because we have a lot of episodes to catch up on. Um, so I'm going to be drinking a lot of Bad Habit Brewery, but today, now I feel bad I have a growler of it, that's why. I'm
Oh, why
drinking
don't you should have the growler up here.
I know, I'm drinking the Benny Ale, which seriously, pour out to my homie. We lost a good friend this weekend and an old coworker,
Yep,
and so Pat was like, "Ashley, that's so crazy that we just picked up this growler and it's called Benny Pale Ale, and it's their, like, light beer, and it's just, like, perfect." And
makes my
so,
heart warm.
yep, drinking one for the homie, so that's what I'm
Pour one
sipping
out for you later.
tonight. I did just send Pat, they're tapping a new beer on Thursday. It's called a strawberry milkshake sour, and it's, like,
Ooh,
strawberry and creamy and sour, and honestly, I'm 100% here
sounds
for
like all
it.
my favorite things.
I think that that's gonna
Thanks.
be my
Gross,
new
mine is the
thing,
creamy.
right? Like, it's gonna be, like, craft beer, especially as the workload starts lightening up. I'm so excited for
Yeah,
that.
because someone's getting close to
Yeah.
graduation.
Okay, so I think this is a great now that we've introduced our beer, and hopefully this is what we're gonna do for a while because every other podcast does it, so why not us?
And Minnesota is such a great spot for breweries, and we're just getting it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the years go on. So I like this plan. Cheers. Che
Cheers to that. Oh,
cheers. You didn't
I
oh,
cheers
cheers. Oh,
microphone.
that was cute.
Microphone.
You cheers the
Okay,
mic.
so
Oh, wait,
like
before we
we
go any
said, we've been
further, well, I'm
oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I just wanted to give a shout out because as you guys can see in the background of Ashley's recording here, we have our two Rambling Sisters cassette tape made from our good buddy Chance Axelson. And at the end of the show, I'm going to give a huge shout out to his business that he started, and he's doing a lot of woodworking and furnishing and stuff. So
He
I'll
is,
give a
and he's
shout out to
actually
that.
crushing
Drop it in
it.
the comments.
His
He's
Facebook
crushing it.
page is sharing stuff, like, every week,
Yep.
and it's, like, getting better and better, and I'm like, "Damn, get after it." Okay,
That's what I'm
so,
saying.
um, like we've mentioned, we've been gone for a wee little bit, but there has been plenty of activity happening that we can't wait to fill you in. So hang on, folks, because this may be a lengthy one because we've been gone for so long, but we've been, excuse my language, but fucking busy.
So
So
busy,
busy,
y'all.
so busy. So, um, we're gonna just keep combining what we've been doing for ourselves and what we've been doing in general, what's been entertaining us. I have to pull my notes up. So, do you wanna go
Okay.
first? I feel
Yeah.
like you have so
Yeah, I can go first. So, let's see. Let's start with what I've been doing for myself. Well, mental sanity is extremely important during quarantine. So, as
for
I'm
fuck's
stuck,
sake.
right? So, as you guys saw in our post, both Ashley and I respectively have been sent to work from home from our company, and what that means is that, one second, please. What that means for me is that I now have an Ethernet cord running from the ceiling in my hallway in the apartment all the way through my door, and I just have to hope that nobody unplugs my stuff all day. So, for mental sanity, I've been practicing 15-minute meditation cycles during my 15-minute breaks at work because now I don't need to get up and walk around the building or anything because I'm just
Are
at
you
home.
using an app yet?
I'm not. I'm actually just using meditation tracks from Spotify and practicing mindfulness that I've read in the many books that I have.
Okay, well, you should use Headspace. I just
Okay.
downloaded it the other day, but it's a really popular one, and we preach about it a lot at work, but,
Yeah. I'll check that
I
out for sure.
use it.
Guided meditation is always positive. So
Seriously.
that's one thing. Um so I've been cuz you as you guys know, usually what I've been doing for myself entails some kind of uh um doing something with my hair, like, every single time, and I can't go anywhere to get my hair cut or do anything right now,
Seriously,
and
seriously.
so right, as a
Also,
solution to that
side shout out to all my stylist homies who can't
yes,
work right now
I'll be
because
hitting you up.
holy fuck, yeah. not only am I gonna be hitting you up, but I'm gonna be tipping you hella hard
Because if you
because
guys can't see this right now, my hair is brown
yeah,
again. It is
it's gonna
completely
be
brown.
nasty ass, and you haven't got to work for so long, so I hope we're all
Tip you
ready to sit in that
100%.
chair for
Yeah.
hours.
Yep.
Same.
So, as nurture in nature for myself, since I can't get my hair done, which is what I usually do when I feel all bored and stuff, I've just been practicing how to do new hairstyles because my hair is getting longer.
Your
So
hair
I'm
is getting
practicing that again.
I
So
tell
that's what I've been doing for myself.
I keep telling people that we're all gonna come out of this quarantine looking so fucking new.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
everyone is gonna be, yeah, either have different hair
They'll have
or
reverted back to their natural states.
I know, or, like, my whole thing is that I'm trying really hard to not let myself hibernate, because
Yes.
that's the problem, right? So, thank God that the sun is coming out because I think that I would be in,
Aw.
yeah, a hell of a disaster mode if it wasn't out, so,
Yeah, I
ok
agree.
well, that's not all. I think we should talk about
Well, that
Makayla's new friend.
it's not all. You didn't even let me keep going
Oh, you
on my
said that was it.
No, I said that's it for what I've been doing for
Oh,
myself.
thank God. I was like, "That's
Right.
not it."
No, just for what I've been doing for myself. Which that's not it either. There's tons of other stuff since I'm home. It's just like, lots of treat yourself with face masks and stuff.
You know,
Also,
and just, like, cleaning. I feel like cleaning's been
I've been
very
cleaning so
meditative for
much.
you.
Yeah, it really has because I've reorganized. As I'm home longer, I keep realizing that, like, why are my cupboards so disorganized? Why is there cereal in this cupboard and also
Yeah,
cereal in this cupboard? So
right.
then I, like, clean out my coat closet, I, like, organize all my at this point, there's nothing left to do. So, um, no more cleaning for Makayla, but what I was gonna say was, yeah, like, Ashley ruined the surprise for everybody. It's not a
You
surprise, it's been
said
on my face.
it. You said it in the
I
beginning.
did say it in the beginning, Mom's gonna cut it out. So yeah, so I have acquired myself a boyfriend. He
A special
is
friend. A special friend.
I have a special friend now. Um, but that is what brings me as my last what I've been doing for myself is, because so all right, here's the deal. My boyfriend was supposed to have moved to California. This was supposed to be his last week here this weekend. He was gonna have a huge farewell show. He
Fuck,
is
I
a
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, he is a really well-known musician around St. Cloud, Minnesota, and around the Twin Cities. Um, Super motivated, super dedicated. Like, honestly, the fact that he is such a great musician and such a great entrepreneur is 100% why we're together. But, in addition to all the music and awesomeness, we're gonna be starting, like, either Whole30 or some other kinda similar plan. He's done them a few times before, and we were talking yesterday about cabin fever, getting stuck inside, it's starting to get warmer out, and, I keep telling him, I was like, I will not work out with you. I don't like to work out in front of other people. So we can work out in separate rooms, that's fine. So we're gonna
Yep,
do meal plan stuff together.
yep,
Um,
on the front yard.
yeah,
Yep.
I actually am thinking about doing stuff like that now that it's getting warmer, but the grass is so wet.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so we're gonna do that. So that's the last of the what I've been doing for myself and what I'm excuse me, the beer. What I'm gonna be doing for myself. Now what's been entertaining me is like, listen here, everyone. So I got Animal Crossings, of
Oh my
course.
god, that's right. I forgot about that.
And even though Babe bought, uh, he got Pokemon Sword and it's on my Nintendo Switch, I haven't even played it yet because first of all, mother effer has his own profile on my Switch and creates a game under my name. So now my OCD won't let me create a new game under his name. I have to wait till he beats the game, which he did last night. So
What?
now I can start playing Yeah, dude. I mean, he played all weekend straight. I was like, dude, just sit here, play
But
games.
how do you
We were
beat
both sick.
it?
What?
It's been like a week.
I know. That's
I
what I
don't
said. I didn't
understand
even.
the difference between when you buy Pokemon Shield and Sword. What's
One
the
of them
difference?
is just it's like when you buy Pokemon Eevee or Pokemon Pikachu, it's just
Yeah, Pikachu.
literally it's just a different storyline for the base
Oh,
of the game. So now you're Team Sword instead of Team Shield. And then when you go online play, you
okay.
battle against other people.
So it's a
Hmm?
different gameplay though? You're
No,
not
I think
like
I honestly I can't tell you for sure. I should research it and update you
I'm
guys
glad
next
you
episode
told me.
or somebody else tell me. Well, he's
There's
outside because he's trying to be polite.
babe.
So he's just sitting outside right
I
now.
I think upcoming here soon, we should do a babes included episode
Yeah, I
where
was just saying because
we
I
have
think
the
TJ would
babes.
be able to he'd be able to feature a beer really well. He'd be "Hmm." So anyway, yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossings, but also I have been wow, I come unplugged. I've been writing. I've been writing and composing a lot. As school is also getting hectic for me, I'm basically constantly working. And now it's like go from work from home to to school from home to go from podcast to home. And like, I miss the outside. But I live right on this lake, and there's like so many people
I do
who
not call that a lake. It is
oh,
a
I'm
pond.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's called Lake George. I live by a man-made pond. It's very
Yeah,
tiny, Ashley.
and
You can't fish out of it. You can't even
I only
swim in it.
think it's important to say that because we live in Minnesota, so if you
Right.
say lake, people already have a preconception of what a
I
lake
live
is.
close to a body of water in the center of a city.
It's really like a big puddle, and they let a few
It's a big
swans
pond.
sit around in
That's not
it.
even true.
So
There's one swan, and he's not even in the main lake. He's in the pond.
they're
He's
mean.
no, he's not. Well, that swan is, but listen, that swan and me are the best of friends, and he loves my dog. So anyhow, there's people in droves walking and playing, and we are
Again,
not supposed to be within 6 feet of each other.
no.
So I go out for my walk 6 feet apart from everyone else and just mean mug the world out there. I'm like, get back inside. So,
Literally. Listen,
so
yesterday we had the video chat with the girls, and Lindsay asks how the cabin was, and I was like, "Listen, I didn't go." And Pat was sitting right next to me, and she's like, "Well, why didn't you go?" And Pat's like, "Oh, because she was lame." And I was like, "No, bitch, because we're not supposed to go because the rules
it
say
says it
we're
on the
not
CDC site. Is
supposed
it
to
okay to
go."
go? It says, "Is it okay to go to family cabins?" And
No.
underneath of that, it says, "Probably not unless you need to
Yes.
pick something up that's immediately needed."
Yeah, exactly, and like I
So then
said,
Ashley's babe is like, "Well, let's go to the cabin and
yeah,
hang out with
but
a bunch of
yeah,
people."
and then everything breaks, and then y'all mad because you gotta fix it, and then the weather
Right.
was crappy, and guess what I did? I stayed at home, and I played a whole mess of video
And it was
games.
like the last snow we're probably gonna get for the year too, so he just got just shit, and I was like, "That's
It's
what you
supposed
get
to
because you
snow
weren't
on
supposed."
Friday. It's supposed to do the
Well,
same thing as it did this weekend, which was
oh, you
freaking
think it'll stick? That sucks.
I know, it was
Okay.
dumb.
Well, Ashley, what have you been doing for yourself slash what's been
Um,
entertaining you? Oh, wait, there's also other TV shows that have been entertaining me, but I can't get into them right now. You go.
okay, you can chime in if they relate to what I have going on. So, I
Okay.
have a few things. So, I almost texted you this last night, and I didn't, and so I'm glad that I didn't. So, um, excuse me, okay, so for my last 2 classes, I've been doing some really interesting things. So my last class was transmedia writing and video game writing. I'm sorry if you
Wow.
hear PD. Seriously, he's got this thing where he won't come up the stairs or go down the stairs unless he's invited. So then I'm convinced he's a vampire because he has to be invited to come
Poor
in and
witch.
out of this space. It's fucking stupid. And then
I'm
he'll
convinced he's a vampire. He's a vampire.
haven't you ever seen that episode of What We Do in the Shadows? And they're
Yeah.
like, "No, you have to invite us in."
Yeah, I have. In fact, I was just
Anyway,
gonna say that I started watching that again.
it's so
Um,
funny.
Ange, listen here, Ange. A vampiri. I'll take a picture of a
Oh,
vampiri.
that would be so cool. Yeah, we do have new art that's gonna drop thanks to our wonderful friend, um, Pale Horse Studios. Definitely check her out on Facebook and Instagram because she designed our new monthly myth logo, so we're gonna drop that with the monthly episode that's gonna come up hopefully shortly
Well,
after
we
we
definitely released the logo or the art already on
what?
social media. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We shared it,
Banana,
but we're gonna put it into production pretty soon and get it on some stuff.
yeah. Okay, so game writing, transmedia writing. So I talk about American McGee's Alice because I've been playing that again. I've been splitting my time evenly between Kingdom Hearts 3 and then American McGee's Alice. But so it got me all reignited because I wrote just a discussion post about it and my instructor wrote me back and he's like, "Oh my god, I love this game." He's like, "I seriously am so in love with
Oh,
games
I
that
didn't know that. He did
concepts
that?
we
That's cool.
already know, and then especially, like, fairy tale things, and then adapts them into something new, and so I was like, "Yeah," and so then I started thinking, and I was like, "God, holy fuck." I was like, "They've been working on Alice Asylum for years, and it's still a piece in production." I was like, "Wouldn't it be so cool if I got to work on that after I graduated? Because that would be, like, my dream, right? Because 'Cause I've been playing that game since I was a child." And I look up the game, and I didn't know that American McGee is a solo man, and he has been writing all of these games, and
What?
also wrote Doom, and then, yeah, then he just sells his
No, I didn't
game.
know that. That makes
he
so much
he
more
he
sense.
sells them, like, fully made, and then he sells them to, like, EA Sports, and then EA Sports puts it into production and shit, so he
So
has a
he sells
Patreon.
the script for the game,
Yeah,
or does
he
he
said, like,
produce the game?
he so this is the greatest part. So I learned how you would pitch your game idea. So
That's
basically,
awesome.
you create, like, a deck, it's called a copy deck. Oh, well, that's for a transmedia story, but it's all the same. So basically, you create an outline, right? This is what it would look like if you have an artist who's gonna work with you. Here are character descriptions, and then, yeah, then you have to write out, what that script would look like, how that branches out in stories, and so this is what he does, and then, yeah, he sells it, and then they produce it, and so for Alice Asylum, he's running a Patreon page. That's how he's getting his stuff
What?
created because, yeah, he's just a sole man, and he's finally stepped away from, like, working with other companies, and, yeah, so he has, like, a game developing company, and now I can't remember the name from it, it's like Manifest or something, and I was like, "What the fudge?"
For real.
So now I have a mad new respect for this game, knowing that this was just, like, one man, which I feel like I suppose a lot of video games are, but
Yeah, but there's
but
a lot of dialogue in Alice.
yeah, and it's, like, amazing dialogue. That's what I had written about, was a story that I thought did a really great job incorporating dialogue into gameplay. Because usually dialogue just gets swept under the rug, right? It's just,
Mhm.
"Who cares? I just wanna play my video game," because now the complete opposite of what I've been playing, Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm coming back to it after, like, a 6-month hiatus of not
I'm
playing.
so disappointed in it.
You're here, you watch me play, and you watch me sit and talk to you the entire time because 'cause you're like, "Is that all you've played since you started?" Because it's all cutaway scenes, and if it
They're
was
pulled directly from the
right,
movie.
they're pulled directly from these Disney movies, so if it was at least, like, useful dialogue and imperative to the gameplay, I would be totally about it, but it's, like, copy and paste,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, "Well, at least I fucking haven't seen Frozen, so some of these scenes are new for me."
That's funny,
Because
that must be the reason you never watched it.
yeah, thank God I didn't because that woulda ended the game for me because you spent a fucking eon in whatever the name
Arendelle,
of
that's right.
Arendelle or whatever the name of the place is.
Annandale? Arendelle? It might be Arendelle.
I don't
You're right. It doesn't
which
matter. Um, I think I'm gonna do a Twitch of me playing Kingdom Hearts and reviewing it while I play it because I have such strong opinions and they are negative.
I'm already halfway through the game, and I'll tell you, like, you can hear my opinions, and it's just gonna be me turning the game off after 20 minutes of watching a cutaway clip, and
Of a
then
Disney
5
movie I've already seen.
yeah, and then it's just like X, 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 and then more cutaway scenes. Fuck. So, okay, so those are the games I've been playing. Um, Thanks to the fact that I am creeping up on graduation, my classes are getting more like write a whole fucking something, right? So you just get that
I
done,
feel that.
little less intense, I feel like, so I've gotten some solid TV time, so I am completely caught up on Castle Rock, and you have the text messages of me
I do.
blowing you up about the fact that, like, you really need to watch it. I really think it's important for anyone who is a Stephen King fan. I feel like if you're a true Stephen King fan, you would have already watched this, but
Wow,
in
ouch.
for some reason it hasn't gotten to your bucket list yet, I truly recommend it because not only do they pick phenomenal people to play out these series, but, Bill Skarsgård is just fucking amazing.
Right? Like,
He's so amazing, and like, he plays a perfect Pennywise in it, and the role he plays as Henry Deaver, or not Henry Deaver, who knows, that's a twist.
oh.
in this story is phenomenal, and so the thing is, like, season 1 and season 2 are completely 2 different stories. His character is the only character that remains the same, and the worlds don't even really intertwine, so you don't see any of the characters from season 1 in season 2, even though they all live in the same 2 towns next to each other.
That's actually
Um
nuts.
so, again, super good. I'm really glad I got to step back into that and finish that, and then Legion. Aubrey Plaza, I talk about her all the
Oh,
time.
did another season come out that you watched, or did you rewatch it?
I didn't rewatch it. Didn't finish the last season, actually, it was the final season, so I hadn't finished it yet, so I am catching up on that now because now it's
Okay.
done, but, this season is phenomenal. It is a lot to wrap your head around, though. It's not a series that you can just jump into and think you're gonna understand it, like, I
Accurate. I remember
yeah.
trying to watch episodes with you.
And I'm definitely a person where I usually can wrap my head around something, but I had to watch a few of these episodes a couple times just to make sure I was on the right track, so,
Which is
um,
crazy because Ash doesn't generally watch something more than once. It is like
no
a pet peeve of yours.
yeah, I don't need to digest anything more than once, so
Accurate. I
yeah.
withstood it. I am the
So,
smartest.
yeah, basically, like, usually I've already actually figured out the ending, so,
I hate that, and I have that problem too because it ruins things for me. So
it does,
you have to be you, Ashley, you have to become the writer who I cannot foresee the end for.
yeah, no
That's your
doubt.
new goal.
The thing about Legion is that it's Marvel TV, so it is based off a comic series, so I do feel like there is already people who are,
They probably know
committed
the
to that
Easter
story, yeah,
eggs.
so they, like, really love it. Yeah, and there are a lot of connections that you will see into some of the more common Marvel universe, like X-Men and Xavier and all that shit.
Oh,
Uh
speaking of which, I saw this really weird post the other day that was like the story of X-Men, and Captain America was in the image they were using. I was like, "Wrong." Yeah,
that's, like,
just like that.
so wrong.
I know, so go ahead, please tell me more. Well, I
Uh,
mean, it's still Marvel, but it's wrong.
yeah, I mean, it's still Marvel, but it's just a different part of the universe.
Well,
You know,
those universes never collide, like, to the
there's still
best of well, that's
there's
not
still
true.
mutants. The thing is it's just like a earlier time frame, and it's just in a different part of the world. So that's, like, the great thing about,
Right.
I think, any
Because,
universe,
like
like, you can tell so many stories because you can tell it based off what it would be like if you were in that part of the world. So
precisely, like how when, like, Deadpool mixes in with the X-Men stories because it's all in the same location.
right,
Yep.
exactly. So, and then we didn't get around to watching it, but it is still on the board. We have to watch The Platform.
Oh my god,
So
you guys, it looks so crazy. Look up an ad for it right now. Look it up right now.
if you haven't watched the trailer on Netflix, I highly recommend it. Just because, like, I think if you're a thriller or a horror like lover, you will enjoy it,
The
but it obviously
psychological
yeah, it obviously is a psychological thriller, but it also is like a societal thriller, right? Like there's a clear message of the hierarchy and how trickle down
you put those
economics
things into
works.
words so much better than I do because 'cause I'm like, "It's fucking crazy, you guys." And Ashley's like, "There's a lot of social implications that are involved."
Fudge. All right. But that's it. That's all I got. I mean, honestly, I've been stuck inside. Oh, if you can't see my lovely, for those who will get to watch
Oh,
the video,
yeah.
we finished finally remodeling my office. We had
I
already
did
intended to do this because, like, I live in a new house. And so, yeah, so that's been a project long time coming. Since Makayla moved into that office, we finally got to fix up this and turn it into
Which
my
it's
office.
like, "Oh, there's one person less, now let's get a bigger space."
Well, you didn't live here.
Well,
So now I
that's right, I did live
live
up
the
there, so oh, you
it.
guys, you see where Ashley's sitting? That's my old bedroom. It did not look like that.
Did not look like this. It put a lot of time. Okay,
Although
that's
kudos to
like
Ashley and Pat because they renovated that place in, like, a week and a half.
hold on, let me mute myself so I can yell at my dog.
Alright. I almost wanna leave this part of the video in because it's funny. Hey,
Okay.
did you watch that, blindfolded pillow fight?
That shit was so funny that I didn't think I thought it was gonna be, The floor is lava. I thought that's what they were gonna play at
Oh, that
first,
would have been
and I was like, "Well, that's a disaster waiting to happen because they had all their eyes closed," but that was way fucking funnier.
like, I'm gonna have to share it to our page so that all of you beautiful listeners can see it as well because they've got their hoods up over their face and they're trying to do a pillow fight, but the guy keeps, like, creepily creeping and
I
then
know.
he's
He's
all
like,
up on someone and no one's there.
"What
I
are
wanna
you doing?"
do that with, like, 5 people.
I would seriously hurt myself because I would swing and there'd be nothing to stop that force,
Just be a
and then I'd
wall.
fall and twist a leg and, yeah, put a hole in the wall, and then we wouldn't be able to play anymore.
Just punching walls, like
Alright, alright,
Oh, yeah.
we have to go.
Yeah, we've
Sorry,
been rambling for 38 minutes and 43 seconds.
I
Is
just
that enough rambles for you?
have
Wait, let's give some shout outs.
I have
Yeah?
class. Yeah, let's give some shout outs.
Yeah, and Bay's gotta record. Oh, you guys, I'm gonna drop it. Just kidding. I'll do it later. Okay, so our topic for episode 33.
Okay, wait, I thought you
Episode
said we were gonna give
33? Yeah, I said, no, wait, I will do it. Oh, yeah, I'm
a shout
sorry.
out.
Okay. All right, restart. We're gonna go ahead and give some shout outs to some awesome Patreon donors.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, so I'm gonna let Ashley get that pulled up because it looks like that's what she's doing right now.
it is,
Um,
and honestly, obviously, if you become one of the top tier donors, or actually the $5 shout out
yeah, so
donor,
middle tier.
you get a shout out.
So in addition, our $1 tier, $1 Bob, also gets specialized thank you cards in the mail with some swag.
Oh, yeah,
Which who doesn't love
which
some swag?
which is stickers and buttons, because who
It
doesn't
is.
love stickers and buttons?
And hey,
Okay.
we might even have some monthly myth stickers coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, sure friggin' hope so.
So you get swag nobody else has gotten. So, all
Yeah,
right, Eric, thank you for your donation. Oh my goodness gracious.
seriously, backbone of the podcast.
You guys.
Appreciate it. Okay,
Is that all?
ready?
Was that all of them?
That's
We don't
all of
have
them.
any more shout outs to do?
We do not.
Okay. Well, in that case, all right, you want to talk about some stuff?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's
I'm
going to be
ready.
bananagrams. Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Um, I guess I don't really care.
I got a lot. I'll go first.
Okay, I'm down with that.
All right, cool beans. Let me take a sip out of this Starry Eyed Brewing Co. out of Little Falls. XX Cream Ale. I was like, did I miss an X on that?
I think we should mention that we're not sponsored by any of the breweries.
I don't think we have to mention that, but hey,
In fact, they're
nobody
possibly
sponsors us
sponsored by
right
us.
now. But if you would like to sponsor us, you can reach us at tworamblingsisters@gmail.com. Also, check out our social media. For more information, visit us at tworamblingsisters.com.
Great job. Great
Thank you.
job. That should have been our original promo that we sent out.
I know we never should have tried to do that as two people. Listen, wine and crime, we really love you, but you should have emailed us back and been like, try again.
All right,
Okay,
you
I'm
go
gonna go.
first.
So, I want to tell you about this crazy asylum because, as we know, asylums in the early centuries were not the best.
No.
And that's just straight up interesting. So I chose Penhurst. I know, right? And that's just why we're going to talk about that. So I chose the Penhurst Asylum. Have you ever heard of the Penhurst
I
Asylum?
have heard of Penhurst, but not a lot.
Wait, not a lot? Okay, well, it was originally known as the Eastern Pennsylvania State Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic. Because apparently, if you did anything that was out of the norm, it was just considered to be epileptic. And
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
I'll give you a date range so you have an
Unless
idea
you're
where
a
this is
woman.
coming from.
If you're a woman, then it was mania.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the Penhurst Asylum, anything outside of actual feeble-mindedness, so actual ailments of the mind, was considered epileptic. That's just everything else. Everything else was epileptic. So, the Penhurst Asylum, it held mentally and physically disabled people from from southeastern Pennsylvania. It still is located in Spring City. The hospital opened its doors November 23rd, 1908, when patient number 1 was admitted to the hospital. It actually remained in operation for a dreadful, dreadful 79 years until
Oh.
its closure in December 9th, 1987.
Ah,
Yeah.
long.
So,
I don't
as you
trust
can
any asylum that's open that long.
no, no, especially not in 1908, because you're like, "You should have been closed in 1908 dash 1 day later." So, the hospital's construction, it was roughly a 5-year process, beginning in 1903, when the Pennsylvania legislature authorized the creation of the Eastern State Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic. And a commission was organized to take into consideration the number and status of said persons who were currently in the state. So basically, someone went around and observed every person who was already considered incapable and determine whether or not they needed to be in the institutionalized asylum they were already in, or whether or not they needed different kind of help to bring them to Penhurst. I'll go a little bit more into that.
Okay.
So basically, the commission would go on to determine a placement for construction to care for the future residents. The commission discovered 1,146 feeble minded persons who were incorrectly
Oh my
institutionalized in insane
god.
hospitals. Yeah. And 2,627 people who were in almhouses. Now, an almshouse is known as a Bede house, port house, or a hospital that is charitable housing provided to people in a particular community.
Okay.
Generally, it's organized by the Christian church. However, it was adapted by local officials during the time. So basically, taken from a poor house and put into an actual institution because they shouldn't
Interesting.
have been in a poor house. They needed help. So a
Okay.
little right,
I
backwards
understand.
from what I said, I apologize earlier. So it was they were not in a place where they were getting the treatment they needed.
They
So the
need.
the
Okay.
purpose of this commission was to bring them somewhere where they were properly housed and taken care of.
Okay.
Some of these people, in addition to being in the poorhouses, were also found in county care hospitals, reformatories, and even some prisons where they were simply detained and put in prison for being mentally ill.
Yep. Which is
So
so fun.
these It's so fudged up. Oh my goodness. These people were in immediate need of specialized institutional care. These people, however, included physically and mentally disabled persons, individuals with quote unquote abnormalities, physical or psychological, also the mute and deaf and blind people.
Mhm.
So it also included those with offensive habits, quote unquote, imperfect speech. So basically, if you had a stutter or a slur, you were now taken from the poorhouse and institutionalized.
Could you
So
imagine if you had Tourette's?
that's what I'm saying. It worked both ways. You could have just been poor with a stutter, totally fine living in your poorhouse. And they were like, bitch, you insane. You
Yeah,
got
and
the
put you
devil in you.
you got the devil. The power Christ compels.
So I added a little side note. I said, "How much better, I wonder, is specialized institutional care in 1908 than a prison or an insane asylum?" Oh, so I
Yep.
had the same thought twice. Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
The specific legislation that we spoke about earlier, it stated that the buildings would be in two groups, one for educational and one for the industrial department. Also, it looks like a third one. Sorry, I had to burp. So like the two um my phone sorry, my watch is going crazy. Okay, the people, however, included physically, mentally disabled persons, bad with speech. It also included those with offensive habits. The legislation stated the buildings would be in, I'm going to say 3 groups. One for, oh no, 2 groups. Okay, I got it. One for educational and industrial purposes, and then a second group for the custodial or asylum department. So it was education and work, and then the second building was janitorial, and then the insane. So, like, no
Yeah.
big deal. The insane get 1/4 of the space in the institution they're brought to.
Jesus.
Oh my god. Ridiculous. The place was required to accommodate no fewer than 500 inmates or patients, with, of course, some extra room left around. So, no fewer than 500. I'm going to talk a little bit now about the construction and design of the buildings. From 1903 to 1908, the first buildings were built on 633.913 acres of Crab Hill in Spring City, Pennsylvania, which is located in Chester County. This area became known as the Lower Campus. Its building list includes building number F was the girls' dining room. Building number G was the kitchen and storeroom. H, I, and K were cottages for girls. N, as in Nancy, was the boys' dining room. P was where the teachers lived. Q, T, U, and V were cottages for boys. R was the school. W was laundry and sewing. X was the powerhouse. And building P was used as a temporary administration building until the institution's at like full solid opening in 1918, along with the opening of buildings L and M in 1919. In 1921, Whitman and Wilson uh, building 1 and 2 were constructed along with the Penn Hall for employee housing in 1929. The assembly um, in 1929, the assembly building was completed and functioned as a gymnasium and an auditorium. In 1930, the first buildings on the upper campus, otherwise known as the female colony, great, right, were completed and named Perishing, Buchanan, and Audubon and Keystone. Capitol Hall was erected after World War II, along with Devon, constructed on the lower campus. Horizon Hall opened later in 1971. So the majority of the campus looked like this. I'm going to share my screen with you for a second so you can see this image because it's actually kind of crazy. Let's see. Share screen. Start sharing. Can you see my screen right now?
Yep. Yeah, it's
So
huge.
yeah, so this is the campus, right? And then this is like a more current image of the front of the building. Okay. So now all you viewers, you Patreon viewers, you can also see those cool pictures. Okay, cool. So campus was huge, right? The older buildings were designed by Philip H. Johnson. They were two-storied and made of red brick, terracotta, and granite trimmings. So like relatively well built.
Yeah.
They were they the whole campus, it was connected by fireproof tunnels with walkways underneath, and then on top of the tunnels was more walkways which were used for, transporting residents. It also had a parallel stream of piping systems, so those tunnels were located along the water pipes and the sewer pipes. I can only imagine how gross that was.
Well, hopefully they're not busting.
Yeah, hopefully. Um, so that's not even all of the buildings. Some of them did change names, and I didn't wanna double list them by accident, but that is, like, that's the majority of it, which is already a lot. On November 23rd, 1908, patient number 1 was admitted to the hospital. Within 4 years of operation, Penhurst was already overcrowded and under pressure to not only admit those with actual mental problems, but also to admit immigrants, orphans, and criminals. So they took everybody out of the poorhouses who weren't supposed to be there in the prisons. And then once they were already so full, the county pressured them to then take more criminals, orphans,
Mhm.
et cetera, for no other reason than to get them off the streets. They thought at the time that anybody who was not up to social standards was simply a menace to society and
Mhm.
therefore needed to be removed.
Yep.
Yup.
Which is just we just imprison people because they didn't fit the standard, so
Exactly. And I'm like, makes me so mad. So, those who were admitted to the hospital, they were classified into mental categories of imbecile or insane. So, great. Either you're an imbecile or you're insane. The physical categories were epileptic or healthy, and a dental category of good, poor, or already treated teeth. So you were basically classified on a mental, physical, and then dental level. This is my next favorite note here. If you stay, you pay. Residents were expected to work and provide service for their stay. The branches of industry in which residents were assigned to were mattress making, shoemaking and repair, grading, like grading of dirt,
mhm.
farming, laundry, domestic duties, sewing, baking, butchering, painting, and working in the local store. the local quote unquote, and by that I mean on campus store. The institution's campus functioned as a self-contained city with the residents completing all the tasks necessary to run their small society. So they essentially created a convent full of those not fit to function in society and then made them function as a society themselves. They literally proved that those
That they
people could
could do
function
it.
as a society.
Yeah.
And so I was reading, like, I'm not that's I didn't even write that down. I was just reading that and I was like, "How dumb are you? You're literally proving yourself wrong." Anyhow, ugh, in 19 hi, Petey. So in 1913, the legislature appointed a commission for the care of the feeble-minded, which stated that the disabled were unfit for citizenship and posed a
Voting
menace
rights
to the
too.
peace. That's what I'm saying. Um, and they opposed a menace to the peace and thus recommended a program of custodial care. Furthermore, the commission desired to prevent the intermixing of genes of those imprisoned with the general population. They did not want anybody to mate,
No.
which is like if a person is well enough to just to it you know where I'm going with it. Ridiculous. How many times can I put my hand up? In the biennial report to the legislator submitted by the Board of Trustees, Penhurst's chief physician quoted Henry H. Goddard, a leading eugenist, as follows. So basically, in this report to legislator, Henry H. Goddard made this report. Every feeble minded person is a potential criminal. The general public, although more convinced today than ever before that it is a good thing to separate the idiot or the distinct imbecile, they have not as yet been convinced as to the proper treatment of the defensive delinquent, which is the brighter and more dangerous individual. So essentially, Henry H. Goddard had the audacity to say that anybody who is not 100% well in the head, deemed by him 100% well in the head, is automatically going to become a criminal, no matter what. He uses the word potential, but then goes on to say and press that the segregated idiot or distinct imbecile could be more dangerous than a normal individual. I can't. Second paragraph to note the treatment of women. You knew we'd get there. In 1916, the Board of Trustees initiated a plan to increase the capacity of the institution by constructing cottages specifically for women to segregate them from the men, in part to prevent the pregnancies. So
I was
in
just gonna say,
whole,
'cause they
to
they're not
prevent
supposed
the
to be breeding.
pregnancies. Nope.
No
But that's
breeding.
the thing is they started off like we don't want the general public breeding with imbeciles and idiots. Then they turned into okay, even the imbeciles and idiots aren't allowed to have any fun.
Mhm.
So, but I suppose how do you manage what could potentially be hundreds of pregnant women at a time in an institution and then take care of those children after that?
Right.
So, although I can see the purpose of it, I assume it was not done with good intent.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah. We know what probably could have been good reasons for that, but that is not the reasons they were done.
Like no co-boarding, but they should definitely be
Yeah.
allowed in the same part of the damn city that is your institution. All right. So the Halderman case that I spoke about earlier, it actually resulted in the closure of the institution. Also detailed this case, which I'm going to get into in a second. It detailed widespread patient abuse. So I just
Mhm.
want to make sure I didn't skip this because I did a little bit here. Okay. So far we have a pretty typical institution for its time, overcrowded with a terrible sense of knowledge and mental health. Um, okay, ignore the part about that case because I'm gonna talk about it now. I skipped a paragraph. The exposure of the place of Penhurst State Institution, mental health place. So in 1968, conditions at Penhurst were exposed in a 5-part television news report anchored by a local NBC 10 correspondent, Bill Baldini. The special was called Suffer the Little Children, and it showcased the dehumanization patients underwent at the asylum. Many viewers were so appalled by the images they saw on their TV sets, including he got live images of individuals chained to adult-sized cribs and children who were left in cages. They
Mhm.
let him walk the premise with those things happening. They
Yeah,
willingly let him take those photos.
they thought that that was just how it had to be taken
They
care of.
just I don't know how I don't know
Well,
what else to
it
do.
it was like, "Who cares?" is I think the mentality they had behind it, like,
Right, and then in
"Oh my."
comes Bill
Yeah.
Baldini, and he's about to care. Like, honestly, I wanna do some more research on Bill Baldini, let's remember that, because sounds like pretty big hard hitter on the stories. Um, so yeah, it showcased the individuals who were chained to adult-sized cribs, children in cages, etc. In 1983, 9 employees were indicated on in 1983, 9 employees were indicted on charges ranging from slapping and beating patients, including some who were in wheelchairs, to arranging for patients to assault each other. They were
What the
hosting
fuck?
dogfights with the patients.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Gambling.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Patient
gambling.
gambling.
Oh my god. So, now we move on to the Halderman case. It is what resulted in the closure of the institution. It also detailed the widespread patient abuse. In 1977, U.S. District Judge Raymond J. Broderick ruled that the conditions at Penhurst State School violated patients' constitutional rights.
Oh, you
Like, let's
think?
keep in mind, this is after the 18th century, right? This is not like people have rights at this point in
Right.
time. The lawsuit that led to his ruling was filed May 30th of 1974 by
Oh my god.
Philadelphia. Yeah,
1974, dad was
almost
alive.
1980. Dad was alive. Bananas. I'm gonna call him and see what he's got to say about this. He's like
Me
4,
too.
2. I did the math wrong. So, um, attorney David Fairledger represented the patients of the Penhurst State School. The suit was later joined by the United States uh, and by the Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Citizens. So, two more huge groups, the United States, joined in on this lawsuit. Penhurst State School was ultimately closed in 1987. The 1,156 people who lived there on the date of the court's order, March 17th, moved into small community homes called community living arrangements. These settings supported 3 or fewer people with 24-hour staffing if needed, so they were moved into good
Yeah.
places. This
Okay.
process of deinstitutionalization required it took 9 years to do. It included discussion of treatment plans with each person in each family. So each individual was taken out of that institute. Their families were spoken to about the type of treatment plans needed, and then action was taken to get them to where they needed to be.
Alright,
When the
alright.
Right? So at least a little bit of positiveness. Um, when the building closed, its innards, equipment, and patients' belongings were left abandoned. So they were all just left there. Today, this apparently is supposed to be the site of a haunted attraction where you go if hearing disembodied voices brings you comfort and joy. But you can check out the website. They do have some stuff. Um, let's see. I want to tell you a little bit more about this Halderman and Penhurst um lawsuit, but I have to step away for just 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay, wait, let's do a full pause because I gotta go refill my beer.
Okay, cool. I just have like one more page. It'll go pretty quick. Not even, it's a half a page.
That's perfect. You can hit it up while I finish putting this Instagram post up.
Ooh,
If you don't
Instagram.
follow us on Instagram yet, start doing it. There's gonna be more content.
Heck yeah, and follow us on Facebook too because um it's just a really convenient way for us to communicate. So check us
It
out on
is.
social media.
All
All right.
right. Hit me up with
So I'm going to give you a little bit more information about the Halderman versus Penhurst State School and Hospital. The allegations of abuse from this case, it actually led to sorry, I'm going to start over because there was too much beer. So, this case, the allegations of abuse that started this case, they led to the first lawsuit of its kind known in the United States. Not known, I mean, duh, known because it's a lawsuit, so it's either known or not known. I don't know why I typed that out, but basically there had not been any kind of case against a mental institution for violating residents' constitutional rights, abuse, etc., etc. This this case, it's just sorry, it's crazy, and I'm trying to like format it out. So I'm gonna read it like this. The allegations of abuse led to the first lawsuit of its kind in the United States, a federal class action, Halderman versus Penhurst State and School and Hospital, which asserted that the developmentally disabled in the care of the state have a constitutional right to appropriate care and education. Terry Lee Halderman had been a resident of Penhurst, and following multiple episodes of abuse, she and her family filed a lawsuit in the federal district court.
Yeah,
The
you
suit
did.
had, that's what I'm saying. And listen here, Halderman is a she.
Uh-huh.
So, an even bigger moment.
Yep.
The, yeah. Oh my gosh. So the suit had started after Terry had visited her parents at home and was found to have a multitude of unexplained bruises and marks. Although the case was not expected to reach the level that it did, the courts later found that conditions at Penhurst were unsanitary, inhumane, and
Ugh.
dangerous,
Ugh.
violating the 14th Amendment, and that Penhurst used cruel and unusual punishment in violation of what we know as the 8th and 14th Amendments, as well as the Pennsylvania Mental Health and Retardation Act of 1966. So it violated all those things. The district court ruled that certain of the patient's rights had been violated. The district court's decision was the first time that any federal court ruled that an institution must be closed based on a constitutional right to community services. So, for the first time in the United States history, because of the allegations and proof of abuse at Penhurst School and or State and School, the building was closed. They took no like repercussionary actions where they just fined them or et cetera, et cetera. They closed it down. No, nothing else happened first. They were like, done, you're done. Ultimately, however, the U.S. Supreme Court vacated the judgment based on the 11th Amendment principle that federal courts cannot order state officials to comply with state laws. So essentially, even though they won the lawsuit, nothing
They
could
were like,
actually be
you can't.
implemented. You can't tell me what to do. Penhurst State School and Hospital versus Halderman, as noted below, the institution was eventually closed. So I already said that. I'm gonna cut that out. The settlement agreed. Yeah, so basically at the end of the settlement, they came to a decision that required that community-based services be offered to all of its residents. So, the case became an important rule of law known as the Penhurst Doctrine, which has been cited by State Attorney General as being precedent under the United States constitutional law. Penhurst was added to the Pennsylvania's list of the most at-risk Pennsylvania properties, as well
Mhm.
as the International Coalition of Sites and Conscious, right? A worldwide network of historic sites specifically dedicated to remembering struggles for justice. I made a note about that one. I meant to take a longer pause, so I'm going to reiterate that. Um, the worldwide network of historic sites specifically dedicated Penhurst as a place for remembering struggles for justice. So it like became a historical site, but it didn't
Yeah.
become a historical site because of the time the building was built in. It actually became a historical site solely because of the implications and acts that came off of that.
Yeah, it was more of almost like a civil rights kind of,
100%.
memoir than it is, yeah, like a historical place.
Exactly.
That
I
makes
did read some stuff that the VA now owns it. I believe they're starting to tear some buildings down and stuff. So whatever. Um, in addition to the special, so in addition to the special that was done back in the day, the NBC special, the pen. This is where things get a little bit more on the brighter side, just story wise. So the Penhurst State School and Hospital was also featured on one of my favorite shows, BuzzFeed Unsolved. Get at me, BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
Some things I learned from BuzzFeed. All of the residents of Penhurst were called children, regardless of their age. So no matter how old you were classified as a child. Here's a crazy fact, because you know I love a fun fact. The largest zoos in the country at the time were spending about I know, stay tuned.
I was like,
For
"What the
those
fuck is
for
a
those of
zoo?"
you not on the video,
Oh,
Ash is like, "Why are we
really?
talking about zoos? Ain't nobody mistreating these animals." Okay, so, the zoos in the country, the largest zoos at the time, were spending about $7.15 a day on their animals, right? Penhurst was spending roughly $5.90 a day per resident.
Jesus.
So the largest zoos in the country at the time were treating their animals better than the residents were getting treated at
That's
Penhurst.
fucking ridiculous.
And we all
Um,
know how well zoos tend to treat their animals. So
Tiger King, what up? I didn't even
I
talk
you
about
I
that.
know. I was hoping we wait and you can talk about it on the
Okay.
next episode we do. But seriously, you guys probably watch that. Okay. Um so back to the Halderman case. While a resident at Penhurst, Ms. Halderman reportedly suffered over 40 injuries, including cracked teeth, a fractured finger, and a broken jaw, which means that the staff at the building beat her so badly that they broke her jaw. Staff often would drug its residents.
Not
Here's a
surprised.
crazy story about one staff member. Dr. Fear. His last name was Fear.
Like in
Dr.
real
Fear.
life, or that's what they nicknamed him.
No, in real life, his last name was Fear. I feel this was said on BuzzFeed, so I can't take this joke, and I'll quote you, BuzzFeed. Dude's like, I feel like if your last name is Fear and you get your doctorate, you're obligated to be evil,
Yeah, no, 100%,
right?
absolutely.
So let me explain to you how he was in fact evil. Dr. Fear took the liberty of conducting studies on the residents, unbeknownst to anyone else, injecting some of them with the most painful injections known at the time that would not cause physical damage so he could study the effects.
What the fuck? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I don't like, I'm not surprised to hear it. It just sucks when you hear it, but yeah, we always have used mentally ill patients
As
as test
lab
dummies.
rats.
Yeah, it's so disgusting and
It's
so
so
dumb.
disgusting.
Um, anytime I hear stuff like this, obviously, like, I think about American Horror Stories Asylum because that is still, it's, like, loosely
It's a
based off
great
real
representation.
story, yeah, of the journalist who puts herself in the asylum to pretend that she's insane to capture
And
actual
it's
evidence.
bananas. If you guys, well, one, if you haven't seen that season, watch that season. But two, if you haven't read the story of that journalist, maybe
Yeah,
Ashley would be so awesome as to cover her one time for us because it's bananas.
yeah, we could probably do that, and we could do that, you could do your other guy, then I could do her if it wasn't her.
Dr. Fear?
Anyways.
Well, then it'd be he only worked at Penhurst though.
No,
So
no,
like
no, you
you don't
said the other guy who was, like, the crusader for who did his time in the institute and then went
that's
in.
what? I didn't say anything about.
Yeah, you
No,
said.
Ms. Halderman was a
Oh, yeah, that's
patient.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. It was
she
immense.
didn't go in there sane. She went in there
No, that's
probably with a lisp.
you were talking
Sorry.
about it.
I'm all
Um,
angry because 'cause they're
okay,
institutionalizing people for lisps and shit.
that's so fucked up, but, I
Alright, well,
mean,
that was the end of my story. That is the Penhurst, uh, asylum.
Pen asylum or sanitarium? Asylum?
It's no, it's called the Penhurst Asylum, but its full name, let me get it back up here, is the Penhurst State School and Hospital.
Ah, they always make it sound less bad when they say state school,
I know, and hospital. Hospital my bottom spool. I try
which
to
is
rhyme it.
funny because it was actually really just depending on your location, not even necessarily what you were doing, that dipped whether you were a hospital or a sanitarium or an
Or
asylum.
insane, to be honest, because depending on where you were either insane or,
Yeah.
you
No
had a
doubt.
stutter. So,
Well, cool. I am ready to jump on into mine. And so what I did here, this is funny because I told you before, but like I got this topic from my dad, which is really crazy because I don't think my dad knows anything, but then he always surprises me with
our
ridiculous.
dad.
Yeah, sorry. I say my dad because I'm like, for some reason, someone's only listening to my part of the vocals.
I only
Okay,
just hear the one side.
did you cite your sources?
I actually did not choose to cite my sources this time as, the information was very well known and could be found
Yeah.
everywhere.
I am gonna cite my sources because I am gonna pull some quotes here down the road, but we have mnsands.com, MNopedia, Atlas of Science. I also have here Star Tribune, Substreet, and Pinecone Gen, which is I think the Pine City paper, which is funny. And then also mayoclinic.org. And then I actually took a quick read of the rise and fall of tuberculosis in Minnesota, The Role of Infection, which was written by Leonard G. Wilson and then published by Johns Hopkins University Press. So I found way more information and went down a rabbit hole that I didn't know that I would. So hopefully I put my story in kind of a more narrative status and then I'm just going to throw in the information here and there. So what I'm first going to do is tell you about this doctor who is going to be the main man in our story. So his name is Mr. Henry Longstreet Taylor. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio on August 14th, 1857. He went on to graduate from Harvard and got his Doctor of Medicine in 1882, so about 25. Um, with his new degree in hand, he actually traveled to England and went on to do some extra studying with another doctor called Robert Cook. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Robert Cook,
I was like, "That
he
sounds familiar."
actually yeah, well, because we have family with the last name Cook, which
Well, I
is
know, but e
it's
Robert
crazy,
Cook sounds
and
so
it's even spelt the same, Koch, which is nuts.
It is not
So
Kooch, just so everyone knows that's a
uh,
different word.
Koch, and this is all coming, I should fill everyone in. So this sanitarium that I'm talking about comes from Pine City, Minnesota, which is, uh, 25 minutes
That is
where
weird because then it's also the last name of our
yes,
family.
not but this is a doctor in Europe, so he was actually a German physician. So he our doctor, Dr. Taylor, travels to Europe
Like,
to
that's
study
not our
with
doctor's name. Sorry.
Dr. and Dr. Cook, the amazing Nobel Prize winning German physician,
Nobel Prize.
Nobel Prize or Nobel
Nice
Prize.
Nobel Prize.
um, uh, is actually one of the original founders of bacteriology, which is the study of bacteria, obviously, and how it morphs and all that good stuff. But this doctor actually discovered anthrax and the bacterium
Oh.
that causes cholera and tuberculosis. And if you aren't familiar, tuberculosis mainly you'll hear it referred to as TB. So Dr. Taylor studied under Cook for about 4 years before returning to the state, and when he returned, he actually established his own practice. Now, and that was in 1893. He actually decided to move to Minnesota and take on the issue of the serious spreading of tuberculosis in the state. So actually, well,
You're mixing it are you also talking about a pandemic right now? Because that's crazy.
yes. So that's what
Oh,
happened. This
that's what you said earlier was it was gonna
this
shake me.
this turned into a fucking episode about what's happening right now. Now it's hits home even harder because of what this doctor did and the events of Minnesota. But so what happened is so this is all in about 1893 is when he moved to Minnesota. So jump ahead a little bit just to give you some numbers. In 1918 was kind of the peak death year for TB in
Oh god.
Minnesota and 2,543 people died. So
In
it was
Minnesota?
yeah. It was
Oh my
about
god.
110 per 100,000 people. So 110 per 100,000. And at that time, Minnesota's population was 2,324,842. Whatever. Way too high, and Minnesota was actually one of the leading states of deaths to population status.
God,
So
that sucks.
Dr. Taylor came here because not only had he now just studied under the man who had discovered tuberculosis the same year that he graduated, but he himself had just been sick and was healed and was now coming back, and he's like, "Nope, we have to take care of this. This is a huge problem." And so basically what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start with the lowdown on TB, then I'm gonna go from there to talk about what he does. So,
Sweet.
tuberculosis is an infectious disease that is spread through things like being coughed on or being sneezed on.
I
So,
didn't know that's how tuberculosis was spread.
yeah, this
What?
is no
I thought
blood,
it was a bloodborne.
no
What?
airborne
You're
pathogen.
telling me somebody in public could cough on me and now I'm gonna get tuberculosis because 'cause I'm not
Oh,
going outside anymore.
it's gonna get worse. If contracted, basically 2 things can happen. Your body can fight it off, which is most likely to happen, especially because after everything was finally figured out, now in cases where TB or in populations where TB could be common or there's a high risk area for it, they just automatically vaccine kids now. But okay,
Which you
so
should do.
airborne
Vaccinate
pathogen.
kids also? Sorry.
So your body can do one of 2 things. It can fight it off, which is great, or it can become dormant,
Oh,
which
no.
it can sit in your body and have no symptoms and not be contagious, which is good. But if for any reason it decides to activate, not only does it become contagious, but now you are going to take on all the side effects, obviously, of being hit with TB. And the thing about TB is that it can sit dormant for years. So you could have it for 3, 4, 5 years and not
And not
realize
even know?
and not know, but thankfully, the majority of the time, you're not contagious, and what happens is if for a lot of things, because TB can be because it's an airborne pathogen like this, um, if you come in contact with someone who's had TB, you're gonna know, you're gonna go in and get tested, and if you get tested, then they can start you on medication to make sure that it doesn't become active.
So you can potentially hold it, have it be dormant, and when it's dormant, it's also not contagious.
Right, exactly, so
That's a crazy ailment right there.
yeah, right, and it just sits there. Um Now, if you do get it, this is obviously a like, it affects your respiratory system, and if you have a lower immune system, it's harder to fight off. So, I, like, point out this is the same disease you see actors where they're coughing up blood. Okay, that's
Yeah.
usually
Yep.
TB, like Doc from Tombstone, which is funny because
I'm so happy you just said that because I was
yeah.
gonna say you mean like Doc from Tombstone?
Totally text dad and I was like, "Hey, did Doc have TB or consumption?" And
Did
he was
he
like,
know?
"TB." And I was like, "You actually know?" And I was like, "See, dad is a secret nerd for Tombstone. I always knew it. That's why we had to watch it every Friday."
That I
Uh,
can't and it's the only movie our dad would watch too,
it
so
was
it's
so
like, the fact
funny.
that he actually knew the answer to that was awesome.
Yeah.
TB.
And I told him and then he was even more excited, obviously, because he gave me the idea to do this
And you
episode.
asked him a question?
Yeah, and so when TB really started to spread, the first place it popped up was in, like, crowded areas. That's where you're gonna be most highly subject. So because of this, one of the first things recommended, kind of like it is now, is containment. If you are diagnosed, they send you to containment, but the problem with that is, especially back in the early 1900s, is that meant you were sheltered with your family or friends or the caretaker or, whoever was set to take care of you, and during that time is when you are most contagious. So there's literally, like, a 90% chance that someone
You're
is
gonna
gonna
infect
catch
them?
it. Yep, and then so begins a vicious cycle of whether you're dormant or active or whether or not you can afford to go get tested or you
I
even
didn't
know get
realize that's how
tested.
crazy TB was. Like,
Yeah, it's insane.
I'm
It's
shook.
okay, so we watched the video the other day about, COVID, and
Uh-huh.
remember they talked about the R scale
Yeah.
and how likely it is? Yeah, TB is way up there. It's like a R3,
Oh
R3 to
my god.
4.
It's like an R14, some
COVID is
shit.
up to a 3.9,
Yeah, if
people.
everybody could stay the fuck home, please, be great.
Christ. Um, so so this is kind of
Back
where
back to the matter at hand.
yeah. Um, so, like, since TB was so new when Dr. Taylor came to Minnesota, like, I don't know, I it's like medical science is funny, right? Because to me, it is just hoodoo magic. It starts off first, right? Because here's what they recommend. They
Voodoo
recommend
magic or hoodoo? Because
hoodoo
there we
magic.
go, it's important, so
Because they just doctors were recommending a really good, schedule of rest and fresh air and good food, you know? They just wanted you to, like, be
that'll get
healthy.
you better.
So, Taylor's actually main focus of study, though, was the fresh air part. And so,
Okay.
consequently, Minnesota was actually already in the books as being a place of refugee for people with respiratory problems. Because of our clean air, because of our ability to live so secludedly with a high level of oxygen, thanks to all of our wonderful trees and lakes. Um,
Yep. Yep.
and so people were actually coming here already to deal with respiratory problems, so we were already like a stop for tuberculosis. So at that
Good.
time, uh, Minnesota though actually had one of the lowest death rates for TB in consumption,
Was
but
that at
then
the
what
time where it was already up in the thousands, though,
yeah.
and it
And
was the lowest? Oh,
well, no, 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 my apologies. So it
okay,
started at the lowest, and
okay.
then things start to escalate, but it's not anyone's fault except for just like
Except for
medical technology
tuberculosis.
wasn't there, yeah, except for just
Yeah.
tuberculosis. So, but the thing is people were dying less here of TB than they were in other states, so people were coming here. The only other place that was, like, comparable were some states in the South, like Louisiana, but people were
Because
dying
nobody
of
wants to be in
extreme rates
Louisiana.
of, like, yellow fever and, like, shit like that, so they're
Just
like,
different things.
we're gonna take our chances in Minnesota. And at the same time, I actually want to call out that the like what will be the future Mayo Clinic was established in 1889. And so when Dr. Taylor came over here, it was only let me go back up here and check again.
Did calculations. Did nice face.
I know
So
I already forgot.
it's when we
It was
when we
18
panic.
it was just like 1882 or some shit.
Oh,
So
so just not that long. Okay.
no, it was really only had been, like, 4 years. So, TB is starting to gather, the Mayo Clinic is starting to grow, and people are starting to come to Minnesota for treatment. So, a lot of things are happening within the medical community here, um, and it's good. So, we're getting the recognition that we need to find a solution for this. Okay, now back to TB and Dr. Taylor. So, in 1899,
TB
he
and DT. Haha.
yeah,
Sorry.
TB&T. Um, Doctor
Just name
Taylor
that.
started setting up these, like, tented shelters where you could come and you could have, like, a little place of seclusion and fresh air to live in the summertime, and it was great, like, people are like, "Thank God I can cough and no one's staring at me, and I can just try and have some peace
I
and
can
sleep
cough and no one's looking.
and whatever." But here's what happened, the surrounding neighbors, because he sets up this, like, tent village in this field in Ramsey County. And the neighbors start getting so scared that they're gonna be infected that that during like, right away during the off season, they
Oh,
harvest
Minnesota.
the field and they plant a whole bunch of potatoes so that nobody can live there. Like, what a thing to do. We harvest the fucking
Fuck
field
you, our
and
potatoes are here.
we plant a whole bunch of, potatoes, and then I make a comment to say how, like, Minnesota Irish of them, because speaking of the Irish,
Passive aggressive as hell.
I did a little digging into it, and, genetically speaking, those of Irish descent were more likely to contract or already have TB, and so when they compared the rates of Irish Minnesotans who were dying compared to, native Irish to Ireland, the rates were the same, so then they started assuming that
So
TB
we
may
were
have
dying at the same rate as those living in Ireland at the time is what
yeah,
you're saying?
which made doctors think that there's a possibility that, like, some immigrants had brought TB over because they had it
Oh,
sitting
no.
and then it became active, and then they spread it to the communities they had, and so
But
that's
that's,
why
like, the
Minnesota.
only thing that Irish Minnesotans have done wrong, so, like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they spent a lot of time getting fucking discriminated against anyways, so that's why we planted a field full of potatoes, but it's like, "You're the sons of bitches who brought it here," and then but then I'm like, "Was it a racist thing? Is that why they planted the potatoes? Because it was, like,
Well, that's but then
because
it's a
it was
backwards thing because
Irish?"
The Irish Catholics and the Irish were treated on the same level of racist discrimination as those of color for a small period of
Yeah,
time
yeah,
in the
absolutely.
Midwest. I need to clarify
Yeah,
that that is in the Midwest.
yeah.
So, when you think about it, it's like, is it racist or is it them being like, "You know what? Fuck you guys. You were all mean to us just because 'cause we're Irish, so now we infect y'all with TB, and then we're gonna plant
Oh,
potatoes so you
no.
can't even come near us."
No, it was the neighbors who planted the potatoes so that the people with
Oh.
TB couldn't sleep there. They kicked
Oh!
patients out.
See, now
Yeah.
it is race again. You just did it
Yeah.
because 'cause we're Irish.
Did it.
Race
Yeah, so
war!
okay, so now Dr. Taylor again has been
It's a
he
Rick and
has
Morty
all
quote.
these patients, he's just trying to help out. Now they've all been kicked out of what he thought was gonna be a good founding, and so he kind of just was like he got disgruntled, and what he did is he kind of became this, like, TB activist, TB, not TV, TB activist, and so he, like, got on this council and he started fighting for more sanitariums throughout Minnesota because he could see an up and coming rise of TB and the fact that what we had was not gonna be enough, and the process was taking so long, and getting the funding was taking so long, and they kept finding property, and they couldn't pay the rent, and et cetera, that What's up?
So why were they I really needed to ask, why were they creating more asylums and not more hospitals?
No, these are called sanatoriums
Oh,
or sanitariums.
sanitariums? Sanitarium.
Um, sanatorium. It's a sanatorium. So it is like it's almost like a physical therapy, I wanna call it.
Okay, alright, I misunderstood then.
Right?
See?
Right?
I like
And
this video, the raising of hands works well.
hi, excuse
Go
me,
on.
question. Um, so he's still trying to fight. He's trying to be a crusader. It's not working. The wheels are just spinning in the mud, and so finally he's like, "Fuck it." So he gets a foundation going in St. Paul with another doctor, and so they get a really good base going, but they become overcrowded, like, instantly. And so what he does is he's like, "Fuck it," and he
Oh,
comes up
yeah?
to Pine City, and with his own private money, he funds and builds a brand new, sanatorium on Pokegam Lake. And for those of you who don't know, Pokegam Lake is an Ojibwe given name,
Yep.
which I also think was very important that not only did we wipe that away because we talk about that a lot where you
A
see people
lot
come
of
in and just
Minnesota names.
completely wipe it away. So he keeps the original name, and I do wanna go on that he goes on to add a few more sanatoriums in his time, up in Walker, and they're all named after the lake. So there is another one that's Leech
Beautiful.
Lake Sanatorium, and they
So I'm
all focus
wondering,
with TB, which is amazing. Um,
can you tell
so,
me more about where on Pokegama Lake is it still there?
I will tell you a little bit about it
Okay,
and
cool.
what kind of its history. So
For those
it
of you who don't know, this is where we grew up. This
yeah, this
so
is
it's more meaningful.
which is crazy because I until my dad told me this, I did not know this stood there, and the crazy part was is, like, I go dad was like, "No, no, no, I think it was a mental institute," and Belinda was like, "No, it was for TB," and dad goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right, I think grandma's cousin went there," and yeah, so there is a potential that we have to go and
What? Now we gotta
the
go see it.
records and see that, but so
What? That's crazy.
the
Sorry.
no, it's totally cool, it's totally
It's
cool. So,
bananas.
the Pokegama Sanatorium opened its doors in 1905, so it only took 3 years to build, and it housed about 52 patients, which was still amazing
Too
at
bad.
its time.
Yeah.
The thing about this sanatorium, though, that was kinda different from others is it was a private one, so you could pay your way in, Unless you were native, then you usually got treated for free. Amazing. Thank you again.
Amazing, because
Not
what is not acknowledged enough is the lack of mental health treatment availability for Native Americans
well, this is a mental health
currently and during
for
the time.
TB
I'm sorry,
thing.
health or mental health. I'm still stuck on my
That's
asylum stuff. My point stands.
and sorry, a stupid Pat called because I needed him to pick up uh mic clasp so that I don't have to hold my mic on the next
Oh,
episode.
I'm glad he did that for you. Like,
Um,
listen, I was Zach, our buddy Zach, our podcast listener, Zach. I sent him a snap of my studio and he's like, "Oh, I want to play the banjo." And I go, "Oh, I can't." I go, "Me too." It's my boyfriend's banjo. And then I was like, he's like, "How fun would it be to play that at 3 a.m. in the morning and just freak out your neighbors?" And I literally was like, "Oh, you can't see it on my phone." But I was like, "Listen, I just did that with my saxophone the other night." And his response was like Lisa Simpson.
that's perfect. That's perfect.
All right, go on. Keep
Um,
telling me.
yes, okay, so 1905 it opens its doors and it's open mainly to, like I said, patients who could pay their way, but it wasn't totally close to that. Now, the thing is it was built with 15 open air cottages. But then in 1918, more cottages were added. And again, I want to focus on this like open air concept and the fact that it was right next to a lake. Like, this is like as great as it could get at that time. And the thing was, is if you were in like the county TB, you were down in St. Paul and you were in the city, and we're still
Not a lot of
talking
fresh
like,
air.
and yeah, exactly. Like, still not great.
Like, still not the like, metropolis that it is now
Yeah,
by any
exactly.
means.
Right, but this would be a way better option. For patients who could pay their own way, rates were about 30 to 50 a week and, could
Did
be
you
about
happen to do that conversion?
no, I didn't not
That's
because 'cause I'm
okay. That's all right.
shit. It's probably like
Oh.
$7 to, like, $10. Who knows?
Um, no, Smash, it's probably
Oh,
like
wrong
$7 to $17.
yeah, wrong way. Um, so,
And like a $2 inflation rate over 50 years, no big deal. Over like 400 years, what time are you in even?
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so Pokega Sanatorium. Sanitarium.
Sanatorium. That's what you just
Um,
Sanatorium. All right,
so
Pokegam
they
Sanatorium.
had so they were kinda classy. They had steam heat with private bedrooms and
Oh, steam
bathrooms
heat
that
though.
only had 2 or 3 people. Okay, so compared to the mass chaos you just talked about
Yeah, this
with
is
people
way
being
better.
chained to cribs, these folks got heated blankets compared to, like, the
Oh, nice
5 to
have
10,
that.
like, wool blankets they usually just laid on you that you had to deal with, the private bedrooms, the private bathrooms, a reception
But you had to
hospital.
pay your way,
You did have
right?
to pay your way,
Okay,
yeah,
go
to
on.
pay your
So,
way.
a hospital.
Um, a reception hospital was added in 1920s, and then they actually got a modern surgical suite. They got a long distance telephone system, and they got elevators, which was, like, pretty bomb.
Sometimes
Um,
it blows my mind that elevators were, like, more like, came before other things, you know?
last night, I gave that, like, last little spiel to Pat because I actually pulled that right from, it's like Minnesota Sanitariums, basically,
Nice.
the website,
Now I can't stop singing that.
and I give that to Pat, and Pat's like, "Elevators?" He's like, "Holy shit, they're
That's what I
crazy."
just did. That's so funny
Like,
because you Ashley texted me last night. It was like, "I just tested some of my material on Pat, and now I wish I would have waited," and then just told me, and I reacted the same way.
you
So,
did, so it's
that's
great.
why I say.
So the thing about the sanitarium then is so Dr. Taylor himself died in 1932, so he lived to be I think he was, like, 82 or 85 or some shit, like,
Um,
a long time, and let's like, the fact that he worked next to patients with TB his entire life. They
that's how
even
it
have,
goes,
like, an
man.
article with him, and they're like, "Aren't you worried about contracting TB?" And he's like he literally basically says, "No, but I don't recommend bringing your kids in here to visit your family." It's
Right,
like
he's
what
like,
he's
"I'm not worried, but you should be worried."
yeah, so, though,
I don't
before he
recommend bringing
died,
your kids here, though. Nice.
he, went on, like I said, to actually open a few more sanatoriums, And then he actually in 1915, he oversaw the opening of Ramsey County's Children's Preventorium, so he got back to Ramsey
Oh.
where they fucking planted potatoes on him the first time, but then he got all famo when he opened up the other 3 ones
And
and
now
like,
he's
"Oh,
gonna
here,
come back, and guess what? He's
back."
gonna help the kids, but he's not gonna
Yeah,
help you.
and so what he did is he worked to improve the health of children who were at risk for developing TB. So
So,
that's what that was.
do you know when like, are you is there a certain age where you cannot contract TB? Like,
Fuck
are y
no.
so you can have TB as, like, a child onto
Yeah,
an adult.
you're literally it like anything, you're just more susceptible as a child or as
Right.
an elder.
I'm
The
just, like,
lower
honestly
your immune system is, the more likely you are to get
contract.
it.
So he then comes back to Ramsey County, and he creates that children's
Yeah,
sanatorium.
the children's it's called the preventatorium because he's
I like
preventing
that.
children from getting it, so he's making sure that children who are at risk can be
Oh,
in a
I like
safe
this guy.
place and stay healthier. Yeah, he goes on to, like like in 1920, he endowed a Pokegam Scholarship for research in tuberculosis at the University of Minnesota. He also served on the boards of several local state and national TB associations, including the Minnesota Public Health Association and the National Tuberculosis Association.
Heckin'
So
right.
Dr. Taylor was like fucking phenomenal. And I don't know, I just like he was 25, he graduated from Harvard, he goes to Europe and manages to study under the physician who discovered the disease that will eventually go on to change his life because he was so impacted about this new discovery that the first thing he did was, like, rushed out and tried to help people because he
That's
knew
amazing.
how insane it was, and I mean, one of the first things I talked about was the death rate of this, like, the it was so contagious and so easily contagious, and we're lucky here in the Midwest. We're talking about it right now when we talk about COVID that we're like an A
We're
right now.
already socially distanced.
We're already socially distant, like, we're a bunch of, like, outdoor introverts. I don't even know if that's possible, like, we love to be outdoors, but
It is
don't walk
possible.
by me or wave hi, like, unless you
Right,
have a
it's like,
beer and you're on your
oh my
boat,
god.
then you can
We will
wave hi
always give you
going
the head
by.
nod and the 2 fingers. I had to drive past construction yesterday on the way to the vet. 2 fingers both way, head
Yeah,
nod.
exactly. So yeah, this turned into something way different for me because it turned out being way more relevant to what was happening, and I picked this way before we even had
Well,
heard of COVID.
exactly. Like, I'm actually kind of astonished about
I
it,
I know, and then
especially considering COVID's, like, what has been preventing us from recording, and then we come back and re-record, and it's like, you're
I know, and
literally
that's the
talking
first
about
thing
a
we talk about.
pandemic, and that
Um,
wasn't the topic was asylums.
it's crazy.
It's
If
so
you
great.
get a chance, I just found, like, because a lot of, like, local journalists like to go there. Oh, I was gonna tell you the history. So,
Oh,
after
yeah, it's still standing.
it got sold to a, like, a priesthood who was gonna use it for they were called the Redemptorist Fathers, so it was gonna be used as a school for priests, and then later it turned into what was called Pine Manor, and it was used for chemical dependency treatment center. Imagine that. Now that
Imagine that, Pine
honestly
County.
more than anything. But due to financial difficulties in 1986, it closed down, and then it kinda just really turned into, like, that abandoned haunted place, and then there was a fire that, like,
Oh,
destroyed any, like, materialistic things left, but the foundation itself still stands
so
because
we
it's
can
just
still go walk the
yeah,
foundation?
yeah, you can still go walk the foundation, and now the thing is, like, one of the first things I saw when I started looking things up is, like, ghost hunters, like, local ghost hunters going to go see if it's haunted, but I'm like, "Y'all know it was, like, TB, right? It's not, like, angry people who
Yeah, but
died
if
there."
people still died
But
there, they
yeah, people
died of
still died
TB.
there and a lot, so
That's a painful death, man. That's coughing literally your lungs out of your chest
dude,
death.
we talk about it all the time if we get, like, bronchitis or anything, which is worse 'cause
I
that's
just recovered.
yeah, like, people are actually just sick with allergies and normal cold right now, but
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
thinks you have the plague, so it's just
Small
like, whatever.
update, Makayla got quarantined for 14 days because she got her yearly bronchitis, and thank
Yeah.
all the gods that I actually have a boyfriend currently because I was like, "Listen, I need you to go to the store, please."
Yeah, I need you to get me medicine. I went and got your inhaler. It was all a
Ashley
great
went and
time.
got my meds for me, but I was like, "Listen, I don't wanna be in quarantine right now." So, although I don't have TB and although I'm not being institutionalized, I really feel for you who are stuck in one place for too long. Cause
Yeah,
my
no
god.
shit. So,
Okay.
during this time, if you have anything you want us to talk about, let us know. We wanna be here
Yeah.
for you. We
I
love what
had
we're doing here. We like this video conferencing. So
Yeah,
for
we're
our
gonna be doing
Patreon
this.
donors, this is gonna be it. We like this. We're gonna figure this out. This is gonna happen. If you're not a Patreon donor and you're just listening to this right now, I think
Oh,
you
guess how
actually
you
could
can
get
watch it.
some really cool things. So maybe check out the Patreon page, see if anything, $1 Bob, tickles your
$1,
fancy.
huh? Um,
And, we seriously
get a nice
appreciate
card
you
out of
touching
it
me,
and
guys.
stuff.
What time is it? I
It's
gotta
We've
make
been
sure.
recording for an hour and 50 minutes,
Ooh.
and, my amazing boyfriend, TJ Lair Music, if you wanted to check him out, he's got a virtual open mic in about an hour, so we're
Oh,
gonna get
good.
set up for that.
I have class in an hour, so
I
this gives
had class at 2 p.m. Guess who missed it? It was me.
Oh, I have
I feel like I had something that I wanted. Oh, I do. I have one thing that I wanna do first. So, everyone, because we, haven't recorded in a while, I wanted to give everybody an update on some of our stats. Ashley, this little update for you too if you haven't looked lately.
I
So,
haven't
so far, at this moment in time, our all-time downloads are up to 1.9 thousand. You guys, we're almost at the 2K mark.
damn.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah!
we cannot express our gratitude enough because this number has been climbing even while we were on a small hiatus due to school and COVID.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. Please continue to share and
We
listen because
appreciate
we appreciate you so much. Such the biggest of hearts.
Yes.
While we're doing this, I want to give just a quick update on the countries that are listening to us. So, currently we have the United States. Thank you, United States.
Yeah,
Yay. We've got Canada. Fucking love you, Canada.
I do
We have
love
lists. I do
Canada.
love. So we also have, I'm gonna go a little bit quicker on these. We have listeners in the United Kingdom, Italy, Peru, Australia, India, the Netherlands, Norway, Mexico, Estonia, Costa Rica, Switzerland, Chile, Germany, Denmark, Finland, Greece, Honduras, Israel, New Zealand, Poland, Uruguay, and it looks like 3 downloads in some other countries that,
I
if
don't
you
know
could
what
get some
others
more
are.
people to download. Yeah, if you could
I
get some
hope
more
it's
people to download, please, that'd be great.
I hope it's extraterrestrial.
I hope it is too. Are you listening from out Shut the fuck up, Ashley. Are you listening from outer space
Hi,
right
excuse
now?
me.
That Ah!
Are you in outer space? Alright,
So,
folks.
huge thank you.
Seriously, this was awesome. I'm glad we're back. Hopefully this video is up by the end of the week, and we will catch y'all next week.
Y'all later. We'll see you for the monthly myth.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.